Yala, it's been quite a thrill ride for her this last year as well. She had some great results coming from a wild card position as well. So
we're going to need them on center court. They've got a massive global fan base.
I think we're going to need them to be on center court because they have so many fans worldwide. And
those words echoed across Miami on March 14, 2026, when number 32 seed Alex Eala stepped into the orbit of Hard Rock Stadium, and the crowd erupted before she'd even played a single point. Just 3 days after her loss to Linda Noskova, Miami wasn't treating her like a player in decline. It was treating her like the main event. The energy captured in those walkway clips wasn't random hype, it was confirmation. Even the tournament leadership would soon reinforce what fans already felt. Alex wasn't riding a moment, she was building something far more lasting. If you saw it in California, and now in Miami, you know this is bigger than one result. Subscribe and be part of the community that recognized it early. This return carried extra weight. Miami is where her 2025 semifinal run reshaped the trajectory of her career. And yet, just days earlier, Indian Wells had delivered one of the toughest scorelines of her recent run. Then came those calm, almost defiant Santa Monica photos, captioned like quiet proof that the panic around her had already cooled. She came back to the very tournament that launched her global name with a clarity the crowd couldn't give her, but could definitely feel. By the time the March 14 footage flooded the internet, the stage wasn't set for redemption. It was set for a coronation. Which is why the online criticism felt so small. After Noskova's dominant 6-2, 6-0 win in the Indian Wells round of 16, critics rushed in with predictable labels, early exit queen, reviving old claims that her 2025 Miami surge was just a fluke. On paper, their concern had some logic. Alex was defending 390 ranking points from last year's semifinal run, and an early exit in Miami could push her outside the top 50. But that's the limitation of surface-level analysis. The doubters were fixated on one bad afternoon in California, while fans, tournament organizers, and soon even the center court schedule were reacting to something much bigger than a single lopsided set. The first proof was impossible to ignore. On March 14, videos spread across YouTube showing cameras following Alex Eala through her Miami arrival, fans lining the route, surging forward, erupting the moment she appeared. This wasn't casual interest. This was chant-level energy before a single practice session. The kind of reaction tournaments dream of, and critics can't explain away. Now, put yourself in the shoes of the doubters for a moment. You spend days posting about a 6-0 set, then the very next image is that same player being welcomed by an entire city like she belongs on the main stage. That disconnect matters. It shows that the people trying to define Alex through a single defeat were already losing control of the narrative. And the confidence behind that reception? She had already put it into words in Indian Wells. I can't speak for the future or what will happen when I arrive in Miami. Last year was a beautiful time for me. It started all of this. But since then, I've achieved a lot. That's helped me build confidence and self-esteem, and I know that I belong here. Whether I win the tournament or lose in the first round, I know I'm here, and I'm here to stay. That's not the language of a player asking for permission. That's the mindset of someone who has already decided she belongs. And Miami wasn't some random explosion of hype. Indian Wells had already given us an earlier version of this story. The Eala effect was visible there too. Packed practice courts, growing crowds, and energy around her sessions that went far beyond what rankings alone can explain. First the practice courts in California. Then the arrival scenes in Miami. That's not luck. That's a pattern. This is the moment her supporters were waiting for. If you stayed with her through Dubai, the Coco Gauff upset, and even the Noskova blowout, Miami gave you public proof that your read on her was ahead of the noise. Because while critics were counting games, you were measuring impact. You were watching the force she creates the moment she steps into a tournament. And now, the business side is starting to recognize it too. Her endorsement presence is already real. And the latest buzz around new deals is being driven by the same thing Miami made obvious: her ability to draw attention, cameras, and emotion before the matches even get tough. Because in the end, markets respond to gravity. Players who can bend crowds in their direction create gravity. And that brings us to the real coronation. Viral clips can be brushed off as fan hype. Packed practice courts can be written off as a hot week. But the moment Miami Open officials start building center court schedules around Alex Eala because of her global following, the debate is over. James Blake said it plainly. We're going to need them on center court because they have so many fans worldwide. It might feel like home matches for both of them. That's the moment fan energy turned into tournament policy. And it carries weight because it didn't come from a commentator chasing clicks. Blake is a former world number 4, a top 10 player who lived the pressure of elite tennis, and now the Miami Open tournament director. He's the one deciding who gets the biggest stage and the primetime slots. So when someone with that resume reshapes the schedule around a 20-year-old seed because her following is too big to ignore, it's not a compliment. It's a professional verdict. It's the sport being told, clearly, Alex Eala is no longer a side story in Miami. She's one of the main reasons people tune in. The next test comes quickly. Her Miami opener, around March 19th or 20. After that, Charleston, Madrid, each one a checkpoint to see if this wave keeps moving once the Miami adrenaline fades. Because this matters beyond one tournament. The WTA's next surge won't come from rankings alone. It will come from players who ignite communities, pull in diaspora energy, and electrify venues before the first serve is even struck. South Florida's Filipino support didn't just show up, it transformed a routine arrival into a statement of belonging. And here's the call. If Alex strings together one more strong WTA 1000 run in 2026, this center court treatment will stop feeling like a surprise, and start looking like the standard. None of this erases what happened against Linda Noskova. The scoreline, 6-2, 6-0, gave critics exactly what they were waiting for. But Alex didn't respond with excuses or emotion. She answered with something steadier. I'm really happy with how I played. I hope I can make the best out of the momentum. Within days, she was posting calm California photos. Then she walked into Miami, noise still trailing her, posture completely unchanged. March 14th. The walkways. The roar before a single point was played. A number 32 seed returning to the site of her breakthrough, and receiving a welcome usually reserved for champions. Then came James Blake, the man controlling the schedule, effectively confirming what the crowd had already turned into a movement. This was the verdict. Alex Eala arrived in Miami as the people's queen of this tournament. Not because of hype or fantasy, but because fan energy, tournament respect, and her own unshakable belief, I belong here, all aligned at the same moment. And now, the real question begins. Does that March 19th or 20 opener become the first chapter of another deep Miami run? Or do the doubters rush back the moment one match goes sideways? If you saw it in California, and now in Miami, you already know this is bigger than one result. Subscribe, and plant your flag with this community. Because the crowd told you where this story was going before the draw ever did. Stay inside that circle. Miami might be the welcome, but Charleston, Madrid, and everything that follows, that's where the confirmation happens.